and welcome to everybody that's joining us in this room. This is going to be the session on the Faculty of Engineering. If you have popped into this room in error and you're looking for the session either for the School of Music, that's going to be in room 1, and the School of Human Kinetics and Recreation session is in room 3. So just follow the link to move back out to the landing page and you'll be able to enter one of those rooms. But for those of you that are here and interested in the Faculty of Engineering, we have a few people that are joining us from the faculty. We have Cheryl Keogh, who is the liaison, the undergraduate student liaison officer. And we also have a couple of students from the program. So we'll just give it one more minute just to make sure that anybody that is looking to join this session is here. And in that time, I'll just go through a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. My name is Jennifer White, as you can see on the screen. I do work with the Student Recruitment Office of the St. John's campus, and I'll moderate this session just to have any questions that you have. That you'd like to have our presenters answer, you can put it into the Q&A or the chat, and I'll keep an eye on those and make sure we get those questions to our panelists. This session is also being recorded, and if there is simultaneous sessions that are going on that you're also interested in, we will make sure that these recordings are available in probably a week to 10 days on the landing page. But if you do have a question that is outside of the realm of the Faculty of Engineering, don't worry. At the end of the session, I will put up contact information for the Student Recruitment Office and the Admissions Office, and we'll be happy to answer your questions that you might send through to us that way. So to get us started, since it is a little bit after 8, hopefully everybody is here in the room that are interested for the Faculty of Engineering, and I'll introduce you to our panelists that we have available. So Cheryl, do you want to get us started and introduce yourself and your role within the Faculty of Engineering?
Sure. So, hi, as Jennifer said, my name is Cheryl Keogh, and I'm the Student Liaison Officer for the Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science. You'll have to excuse me because I'm working from home this week because I'm battling COVID. Yay! um, so, you guys are the first people who've seen me this week. Um, I do have two students with me today, and I'll let them introduce themselves in just a second. With the faculty as a student liaison officer, I do really a lot of things, anything having to do with students. So I go out and do presentations, I help with outreach, I answer questions on anything related to the faculty or admission to the faculty. And I also am the student advisor straight through the first year. So once students get out of their first year into term 3 and beyond, they are in taking their major of choice. And so they also have a department that goes with that major. And so they can go to those departments for questions or problems and support. But before that, in the engineering 1 year, which I'll talk about, the undergraduate office supports you through that. And so I am the main support person for those students. And there are a lot of them. So, but that's fine. It's good because it keeps me very busy. And so before I have a little presentation, but before I move on to that, I will let my students introduce themselves. So I have with me today Hanor and Kathleen. So Hanor, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Cheryl. So my name is Harnoor Singh. I'm originally from India and came here to study a Bachelor of Computer Engineering. I'm also director of co-op for the Engineering Society for my class. And right now I'm on a work term with ExxonMobil. I'm not on academic semester right now. I'll pass over to Kathleen. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Kathleen. I'm a fourth year mechanical engineering student. I'm currently in my 6th academic term, and I'm involved with the Engineering Student Society at the Faculty of Engineering.
Perfect. Thank you both. Jennifer, so I can just go right into my presentation.
Yes, of course. And then I'll just remind people, if there's any questions that come up, we'll allow Cheryl to go through her presentation. And if those questions aren't answered, then I'll make sure that we get those questions to Cheryl and the engineering students we have with us.
Thank you very much. So I'm right off the bat, I'm just going to go right into a little bit about the program structure. So this would be the program that students are applying to. We are a mandatory co-op program. And what that basically means is that you're going to do some academic work, some academic terms, sorry. You're going to do up to 8 of them. And you're going to do, actually, it could be 9, I guess. Depends on how long you take in Engineering 1. And you're going to do up to 6 co-op work terms. And those, like I said, those work terms are mandatory. So you have 6 opportunities to do a work term in your degree. Only 4 successful work terms are actually required to graduate, but you do have opportunity, like I said, to take 6. And so that's a great thing for students to be able to take more than they need. But if they only have the 4, that's okay too. So we do have a common first year, which is called Engineering 1. So that's what you see there in the fall, the winter, and the spring. So courses from Engineering 1 are offered in the fall, in the winter, and in the spring semester. And you can take all of those courses in the fall and the winter, or if you wanted to take a lighter load, you can take them over the course of the 3 semesters, the fall, winter, and spring. If you do finish your courses in the fall and the winter, there is an optional work term in that Engineering 1 year, and so students do sometimes take opportunity with that, but it's not, you don't have to, because you can see once you get to term 3, you're basically going to be on a work term, or you're going to be in an academic term. So outside of Engineering 1, the terms are offered only where you see them. So term 3 is always in the fall semester. Term 4 is always in the spring semester. And then there's work terms in between those semesters. So the work terms are a great opportunity for students to use what they're learning and to find out really a lot more about their degree. Now, for some reason, I can't see how to advance my slide. Okay, I got it now. There. So Engineering 1. So as I said, Engineering 1 is a common first year. All students take Engineering 1. It is made up of 11 courses. Only 9 of those courses are actually Engineering 1 courses, and we have 2 prerequisites. So it's going to look a lot like some people's high school year, because you're going to take an English course or a CRW. You're going to take a first level chemistry. You're going to take some calculus, linear algebra. You're going to take some general physics, engineering, and then 4 engineering specific courses. And there is also a co-op professional development seminar that's not on this list, but students do take that in their first year to get them ready for work term. That's a non-credit course, and so you don't pay tuition for it, and it doesn't affect your GPA. It's because it's a non-academic course. It's a pass-fail course, but these are the academic courses that you're going to take in first year. As you can see from the list, from what's on the list, the Calculus Math 1000 is a prerequisite course, so it's not an Engineering 1 course, but many students do have to take it because we require the Math 1001. So, and then the Physics 1050 is the same. So in those 2 courses, like I said, you're only taking them to get to the course that Engineering 1 requires. So they're not technically part of Engineering 1. And then there are 4 engineering specific courses that students will take. And so those courses sort of give students a look at the fundamentals of all engineering degrees. So we have right now 7 majors at Memorial. So we have a major in civil, computer, electrical, mechanical, mechatronics, ocean and naval architectural, and process. So each of those majors are different size in I guess, because not everyone's interested in all majors. Most students will have a major of choice that they're headed towards. Some students just want an engineering degree and are not really concerned about which major that they land in. But some students come specifically for one major or another. So this is our first year as having mechatronics as a full-fledged major. It's always been a technical stream in our some of our programs, but this year it's a full-fledged major. So we have a small class in mechatronics this year. They've just started in September. And as you can see, we have an ocean naval architectural program. So that is the only one of its kind in Canada. It's the only one of its kind that has a mandatory co-op in all of North America. So that draws students here. So mechanical is probably our biggest class, followed by civil, computer, electrical, mechatronics, ocean, naval, and process are smaller classes, so a little bit more tight-knit. So how do you get in? Admission is competitive. We are a competitive program. You can get in direct from high school, or you can get in as a current student at Memorial. So out of high school, we're looking for 80% or better in advanced math, English, and science, which typically is chemistry and or physics. You can get in without having both of those. You can get in without having either of those. Of course, it makes your life easier if you do have both, because it doesn't change your path through Engineering 1. If you are not accepted direct out of high school, you can come to Memorial and take some of the Engineering 1 year, those courses that are not ENGI specific, so like the calculus, the chemistry, the physics, the English, or the CRW course. And you can apply to engineering for a future semester. So in order to be considered as a current student, they're looking for cumulative averages at the university of 70% or better, and that you have at least 2 of those non-engineering courses done, and you have 70 or better in those. And of course, there are still English language proficiency requirements, and they're on a future slide. Oh, there they are right there. I'm not going to go through them. So some students will be required to submit these and some will not. There is also an an e-proctored English test or an engineering English test, which is called the EET. So when international students apply to the university and they have to provide English proficiency in order to be accepted to the university, they will also have to submit to the EET if they're interested in the engineering program. The EET is not meant to keep students out. It's meant to supplement what your English proficiency is telling us. And so basically we use it to assess your level of communication. Because we are a mandatory co-op program, we are very heavily based in communications, obviously, and in technical writing. And so very important that students are ready to undertake those work terms pretty quickly after having joined the faculty. So this is the program regulations for Engineering 1 students, really. So you have a maximum of 2 years to get through Engineering 1. So as I showed you, the courses are offered in the fall, in the winter, and in the spring. I should also mention that the courses are offered on the Grenfell campus as well as the Labrador campus. And so you can take Engineering 1 on the Labrador campus or on the Grenfell campus. It's offered slightly differently than it is on the St. John's campus, but same courses, just sort of a different timeline for those 2 campuses. So you have up to 2 years to get through the program, or 6 semesters. And students, basically your Engineering 1 year is still very important because you are still trying to get your major of choice in second year. Not all students want the same major, but there is still a bit of competition on your major. And so it's pretty important to take the time you need to get through Engineering 1 so that you are able to get good grades in those courses so that you can be admitted to the major that you want in term 3. Only Engineering 1 students are permitted to take the ENGI courses, so anyone outside of the faculty are not admitted to ENGI courses, but like I said, they can take the math, chemistry, physics, and English requirement. Um, like I said, term 3 is a competitive process. Students with a promotion average of at least 75. So promotion average would be what your average is based on those 9 courses that I said are Engineering 1. So not the prerequisite courses, just the other 9. So that would be your promotion average. And students who get a promotion average of at least 75% are guaranteed to get their first choice in major for term 3. In order to remain in the faculty, you have to have an average of at least 65% and at least 55 in each of those promotion courses. And of course, while engineering students don't, plan to fail anything, it does happen. And so you're allowed to fail any Engineering 1 course just one time. So, oh, sorry, I should fix that. I missed that spot. So it's not the 11 engineering, because there's not 11 courses in Engineering 1. It's the 9 promotion courses. So the 2 prerequisite courses, obviously, we don't want you to fail them many, many times because it fools you up. But they're not followed with this, or they don't follow this regulation. So if you did fail, say your math 1,000 more than one time, it won't affect your progression in the faculty. So to that end, we have so much student support available on campus because obviously we want to support our students. We want to see them succeed. So we do have, like I said, the undergraduate office or the advising team. So that would be where I am. We also have a director of first year. We have a student success center. The student success center has tutorials as well as tutors in their space. They have computers, and basically their space functions as like a homeroom for the Engineering 1 students. They also have a student-led instruction program, so that would be senior students who are hired to do a work term with the faculty, and so they are attending those 4 ENGI classes with you, and then they are offering supplemental instruction during the week to help you learn to succeed in those courses. As well, the campus, we have all of the subjects, sorry, pretty much have campus help centers, as well as the writing center, student wellness center, and the counseling center. We also, like I said, are a mandatory co-op. So I'm just going to touch on co-op because some students do usually have a few questions. And I'm hoping that my students will tell you a little bit about co-op and their co-op experiences. But the benefits of co-op basically is that you gain work experience, that you get paid for that work experience. So all of our co-op placements are paid placements. You get to explore and go out and see the different industries because you could do all of your work terms in the same place, but that's really discouraged because we want students to make lots of contacts. We want students to get lots of experiences and to try lots of different companies and even just different types of jobs inside of your major. And so we encourage students to take work terms with lots of different companies and and see what your major is all about. We do have a co-op office that supports our students through this process. So, like I said, there's a 200W course, which students will take a development seminar in the first year, and that will get them ready for the process of applying for the jobs and getting jobs. But it really just works like a normal job. So we have a database where we put all of the job ads. Students go in and screen those ads. They apply to those jobs with their resumes and cover letters. And then the companies get an application package, go through the resumes and cover letters, and they come on campus and do interviews and decide who they want to hire. So, it's just like a regular job process. So by the time you graduate, you not only have all this work experience on your resume, but you also have all this job interviewing experience. And so you're totally ready to actually get your job after you graduate. These are there's Besides academics and co-op work terms, there are lots of ways to get involved. We have lots of different student design teams, as well as, like, I know both of my students have mentioned student society. So we have actually two student societies because we have one who is on work term and one who is in campus. And so whatever student society is on campus, when you are in term 3, that is the student society that you will belong to, either A or B. But we also have things like EWB, which is Engineers Without Borders, and then lots of cooperative teams that work with students outside of engineering, as well as, maybe even from different schools and things like that. So that's all for me. That's engineering in a nutshell. And like I said, I didn't tell you anything about the majors because it's too much information to get into right here. But if you do have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We are on Facebook as well. Our website is a great source of information, and you could reach out to me. And that is my email address there, engr-liaison@mon.ca. So I'm just going to stop my presentation. I don't know if either of our students have anything that they would like to add to what I have just presented.
Why don't we offer up a couple of questions for them? We'll give you a break for a minute, Cheryl, and let you catch your breath a little. And there is some questions for the students specifically. You've gone through the introductory courses in the first year, and some students are wondering, like, what a day in the life of a student, an Engineering 1 student is like, as far as the coursework and the labs and interacting with other students. So maybe Kathleen, you can start us off and just kind of, let us know when you're on campus doing courses, what is that structure like throughout the week?
Yeah, sure. So
Oh.
that thing, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I had to call in because my Wi-Fi is being so spotty, but a day in my life kind of looks like I try and block out 9 to 5 for school. I'm involved with a lot of other things. I also work a part-time job on the side. So 9 to 5 is usually for school. So whether it's classes or maybe I have a lab, or even on my like lighter days in terms of classes, you want to use whatever spare time I have in that 9 to 5 slot to get assignments done, or maybe start studying for an upcoming midterm or something like that. So I usually only have 2 or 3 classes a day, but then labs can also take up a lot of time. Those can be anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. So I'll have a couple of those during my afternoons as well. And then tutorials are also great. They're sprinkled in my schedule as well. So that could add another hour here or there. And then I think there's a lot of people will say that engineering is a hard degree, and it is, but it's also extremely manageable if you once you learn how to manage that, the coursework in your labs and things like that. So if you budget your time like that, I would say that it's very manageable in like a 9 to 5. Getting closer to midterms or exams, it might be longer than that, but that's kind of what a day in my life looks like. So I always tell people who are in high school or considering engineering is that you will still have time to do social things, or if you want to work a part-time job or something like that. I still say that you don't have to be thinking about giving that up anytime soon.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Kathleen. Harnor, maybe because you are on work term right now, you can tell us a little bit about your experience on your work term and what kind of things as a student you would be involved in the company that you're working for.
So right now I'm on my 3rd work term. It's with ExxonMobil, so it's an oil and gas company from US. Personally, I'm working on like developing machine learning models for them, but I know it's a little bit specific, but and especially coming from a computer engineering side of things, but students do work on a lot of like various kinds of projects. Like if you're in mechanical, you will get those kinds of projects. So there's a lot of variety that we get here. Other than that, yeah, personally, I'm just working on some machine learning projects, maybe developing a dashboards here and there. Yep, that's about it.
And have you had all your work terms to this point with the same company, or did you work with other companies with your previous
Um,
work terms?
Yeah, so talking about my like work term history, my first work term was in like my engineering one work term in spring. So it was under a professor at MUN. So it was like a research work term. There was a project for them, and I learned some like basic programming skills there, and also helped out with co-authoring a paper. My second work term was with ExxonMobil, so that was with a different team. I still did same stuff there, like developing dashboards and starting with machine learning at that time. And now that I'm returning with them, it's now with a different department, but I'm like doing machine learning in like in a more like, let's just say, I got more experience with it, so I'm doing it like better, and it's with a different department, so solving different types of problems.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
I guess, Cheryl, related to that, someone has asked, how typical is it for students to be successful in obtaining that work term in after their first 2 semesters of, I know that Hanor just said that he did have one of those early work terms, but is it typical of students, do students choose to do those work terms? Is there many of them available for those first semester?
So, what we're basically told is that if a student wants a work term, then they will get a work term. And what I mean by that is a student who wants a work term is going to put in the work to get that work term. And so those students do end up getting work terms, whether it be on campus or through contacts of their own or through something that was posted. Um, that being said, in Engineering 1, not all students are going after that work term. So there's a couple of things with that is because if you looked at the schedule, like I said, that spring semester is probably the last semester that you have a full semester off before you're going to either be on work term or be in an academic term. Don't get me wrong, there are breaks between the semester, there are breaks during the semester. We have midterm break and reading break and different things like that. And there's always at least 2 weeks off between semesters, but that spring of Engineering 1 is the last full semester that students will have off if they so desire. The other piece of that is some students are going to actually go to classes through that spring semester because they are focusing on their Engineering 1 promotion average. And so they've chosen to spread their courses over 3 semesters versus 2. Take a lighter load in each of those 3 semesters, and then have more time with those courses that they're registered for, allowing them to do better in those courses. Because, like I said, your grades are still very important. And then you still get the group of students who are deciding to spread their Engineering 1 over 2 years for whatever reason. And so, some of them will take courses in the fall and winter, take the spring off, come back the following fall and winter, finish up their courses, and then go on that work term in their second spring. So you do have to have all of your courses done before you can go on that work term. But like I said, it could be in your first spring or it can be in your second spring. So yeah, students get them if they want them.
Perfect. I guess for the students then, and we can start with Hanor, how did you decide on the major within the engineering program that you were going to settle on? Was it something you knew going in, or was there something in your first year that helped you make that decision?
For me personally, it was something that I already like pretty much decided that I was going to do. Although, like because like I was programming since my high school, and computer engineering was something that I was interested in. Although to add on that, I was like kind of debating when I saw like other student teams doing the mechanical side of things. I found it really cool, but I had to decide between one of those. So I chose computer, but just to add on that, I think like in a job, many like careers are now like multidisciplinary. So you will work with other engineers, and so I think like having a little bit knowledge of other like disciplines will be like useful in your career also.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What about you, Kathleen? Did you know going in what you wanted to do in engineering or what your ultimate goal was, or did those courses in Engineering One help you decide that?
Yeah, I first went in thinking I wanted to do computer engineering, and then I decided after doing the coding course that it wasn't for me, and then I really enjoyed my statics course, thought I wanted to do civil, and then I ultimately landed on mechanical just because personally, and talking to people that I knew in years ahead of me, that I thought it would give me more opportunity. I mean, this is just personal opinion now, that it would give me more opportunities when it came to my career or my work terms. But my mind was definitely switching back and forth right until I had to submit my decision. And I even know people in my class who, were, trying to switch right up until we started our second year of school. So no, that's when I present at high schools. That's one of the things I talk about, is how great it is that you get to try so many different areas in Edge One. And we have a mentorship program as well, run by the Student Society, so you can really ask around and take your time in deciding what you want to do.
Yeah.
Jennifer,
Um,
just to add to that, sorry,
Sure.
students, lots of times students come in knowing what they want to do, and lots of times they have no idea, and that's perfectly fine. You'll have your first year courses complete before you're deciding what major that you want to do. So you don't actually let us know which major you want to study until the first day of spring classes, when you're ready to promote. And so that could be, like I said, after your second or your first winter or with us, or your second winter with us. So lots of time to figure it out. During that time, through various offerings, we give you chances to figure out what those majors are about. So we bring you together with the senior students in those areas. We have seminars, we have open houses with each department. So lots of opportunity for students to find out more about their majors. As well, there are employers all on campus, lots of time through co-op, offering seminars about their employment, about their companies. So lots of ways to get your questions about every major answered during that time before you have to make a decision.
Um, Cheryl, I think you're probably used to answering a question like this, but someone's asked about chemical engineering.
So we don't have a chemical engineering program. However, we do have a process engineering program. So if you went somewhere and studied chemical engineering, you would also study process engineering under the umbrella of chemical. We just have chosen to focus in on process due to the industries that are big in Newfoundland. So, I mean, obviously right now, Newfoundland oil and gas is a very big industry, and mining is a very big industry. But process is more than just even those industries. The process program is a very environmental program. It's all about learning to take things from the environment without destroying the environment and make them into usable, contributing parts of society, I guess. But it's also about reusing things, or changing the chemical processing of things, so that you can take waste and you put it into something more usable. So in the recycling, reduce, reuse, sustainability sector. But process students can also go off to work in the food sector, in cosmetics, in the pharmaceutical company. So anything involving a chemical processing, um, it would be, you would learn that through the process program.
Cheryl, can you still do a minor in chemistry with process, or maybe that's old news now?
No, you actually, yeah, you can do a minor in chemistry through the process program. So, yeah, I think it's the only program, the only engineering degree that offers you that minor. No, I think one of the computer ones actually lets you do computer science as a minor too. But yeah, so you can continue on the chemistry courses and do do a chemistry minor, as Kathleen said.
Is there much opportunity during the degree program to do courses outside of the required courses for the program? So if you can do a minor, could you do a couple of courses, in another subject area, even if it's not equivalent to a minor?
Yeah, so I mean, it really depends on your program. All of the engineering programs, like none of them require a minor, but all of them would allow you to do a minor if you wanted to. The only thing is that's sort of undertaken on a student's own time because obviously the academic terms are pretty full. But we have had students do minors in business or math or even psychology. So what a student would do is take that on in their own time. So taking a course when they're out on work term or taking one of those work term semesters off because they have the 4 required and doing a full semester of academic courses in their minor. And basically what that looks like is when you graduate, you apply through the registrar's office to have that minor recognized on your transcript. And so your transcript would have your degree listed, and it would also say that you have met the requirements for a minor in whatever you took your minor in. Inside of the program, there's opportunities to take courses from other areas. We do have a complementary studies component, which actually requires students to take 2 courses from the humanities and social sciences area. And we always tell students, take something you're interested in. Could be geography, could be another language, could be a history course. It's much easier to do well in something you're interested in versus something that you're not.
Yeah, absolutely. Right from the get-go, which I guess is again speaks to, ensuring that the major that you're choosing even within the engineering program is one that you're going to be happy with in the long run.
Correct. And we do get students from time to time. I mean, it's a very small number, but we do get students who will, do a semester in their major of choice and decide, nope. Um, and then they will come back and start a new major of choice in the following year. So, I mean, you're never fully stuck. But yeah, there's lots of options. But most students by term 3 are pretty confident they're going to like what they're going to study.
Mhm. There's a question that's come in and asked about a student that's currently already studying either at Memorial or at another post-secondary institution. Is it an easy process to transfer into Engineering One if they were studying a different program in their first semester?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're a current student at the university, it's pretty easy. It's just an internal application. And so you find it on the applications page for current and former students applying into a competitive program. There's no fee for that application. You can submit it 3 different times during the year because you can submit it for the winter semester, for spring, or for the fall. And then your courses that you've taken at Memorial obviously just come into the program. So anything that you have taken that's part of Engineering One, obviously you would not need to repeat again. You've already taken that course. For students outside of the university, it's a little more complicated because obviously you're transferring from one university to another. So how that works, like transferring into any university, is that we're going to screen the courses that you've taken at the university you were attending, and then they're going to give you transfer credit for whatever we have courses matching. Sometimes you get transfer credit for courses that we don't have any match for, and it's just considered to be an undefined credit. So they give you the credit and they give you I guess the accolades for taking the course, but it doesn't always count towards your specific program. But yeah, I mean, students will transfer in with the math courses, with chemistry, physics, that kind of stuff is pretty standard from university to university. The engineering courses themselves are not as standard. Obviously, our statics course, yes, lots of universities have statics, lots of universities have programming courses. The graphics and design course is a little bit different at Memorial. It was designed at Memorial, as well as the engineering 1040, but that also is going through a shift, so that one may become more common to other universities as well. So basically what we're looking for is the course you took at your university to be an exact match to the topics that we're covering at our university, and then you get transfer credit for it. So yeah.
I guess returning back now to get a little bit of a student inside scoop from the students about their initial time in the program. Can you speak to a specific challenge either in your first year or maybe when you went on your first work term or were interviewing for your first work term? What do you feel was one of the bigger challenges that you would like to inform future students about because and what helped you through that challenge at that time? Kathleen, do you want to get us started?
Sure. I keep doing that, sorry. Yeah, so gosh, so many challenges. I mean, my first year was online, so I always talk about that, but that feels like ages ago now. So time management is definitely a great skill you learn through doing engineering and the prioritization of your work. You learn a lot of skills that way, some assignments I had in my first year of engineering, I had some assignments that were taking me 6 hours, 8 hours to do, were due Sunday nights, but they were worth like 0.5% of my grade and they were due every Sunday. So, prioritizing things like that and learning time management skills was definitely a challenge that I overcame. I think a lot of people in engineering could also relate to having a little bit of imposter syndrome. So, not knowing if you should be there, I still feel like that almost every day, where it's like, I don't know if this is something I want to do after, I graduate full time. But that's another great thing about engineering is that Cheryl might, frown upon this, or maybe the whole department, but I have lots of people who have done Eng 1 and then gotten right into pharmacy, or, they might decide to go do something else. But Eng 1 is such a great, first year program to do. And you get a lot of exposure to a lot of different courses. So, if you feel like this might not be right for you, there's also so many things you could do with an engineering degree after. You can go on to do med school, you can go on to do project management, you can go on to do business. So that was a challenge that I still find like I'm overcoming a lot of the time. But yeah.
What about you, Hanor? What is a challenge? Obviously, you were in coming into a new program, having an idea about where you were heading. But was there any challenges in your first couple of semesters, or maybe during your first year after you started your major that you overcame?
Um, yeah, definitely. Kathleen summed it pretty well. I had like similar kind of challenges, like with time management specifically. Like in my first semester, I did miss a couple of like minor assignments, and then I realized, okay, I need a system to like sort everything, remind myself, okay, this assignment is due this day and whatever. So I made a calendar back then, and then in terms of other challenges, yeah, finding work terms initially is like a little bit harder, like especially when you have like no experience on a resume, but it does get easier and easier, and just like applying to jobs, having that discipline is important. Term 3 for computer engineering is also like a sudden jump in difficulty, so that is also something that many students like have to manage. But like everyone like manages over time, like that is engineering. So yeah.
Overcoming challenges, solving
Yes.
problems. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I guess I'm just going to give everybody a little bit of a chance. We do still have about 10 minutes left. So if you do have any further questions that you would like to have answered by the panelists that are here, just pop them in the chat or the Q&A. We'll keep an eye on them and make sure we try and get to them. But I guess, again, just to give the students an opportunity to tell us a little bit about their experiences, what was it like sort of going through the process of obtaining that first work term? Did you interview with a lot of different employers? Did you find that there was a lot of availability within the system for a position that you were interested in? Since you're on your work term now, maybe Honor, you could start us off.
Yeah, sure. So for me, I did like join my first year was like pretty much online. Like it was starting to go like offline, like my labs were offline, but the courses were online, so the interviews were also online, and then as far as I remember, it wasn't like I didn't have to go outside Mun job board or anything. Like I applied to like 10-20 jobs inside like Mun's job portal. I got a couple of interviews, and then once I got offer, I just went ahead with it. And I think this is a strategy like some students also use that. So they try to get the work terms sorted in the beginning of that academic semester so that they don't have to worry about it for the rest of the academic semester. So this is something that maybe other students will also benefit from. Kathleen may also add something onto it, I guess.
Mhm. I think that's a good point to make, though, that when you are on your academic semester is when you are interviewing and
Yeah.
preparing and looking at those jobs for the following semester. So it's nice to get that kind of that job offer behind you. Kathleen, have you found there was any specific challenges or things that you wish you'd known about the work term process?
Yeah, so in terms of the work term process, so the advice I usually give is always to take the 200W course in your first semester in Engineering 1. This just gives you like less pushback when it comes to finding a work term. It just, kind of eliminates some of the boundaries when it comes to, so 200W is the pass or fail course that doesn't have a credit but is required before you do work terms. And you have to have it done before you can join the job competition. So I might be getting into too much detail here, but for example, if you're starting Engineering 1 in the fall and you want to take advantage of that first slot work term in the following summer, then you're going to want to do 200W in your first semester at MUN. That way you can join the job competition in January and have time to apply to jobs, write your resumes, write your cover letters, interview, and accept a job offer while there's still a big pool right in January of jobs. So that's my advice. And the co-op program is great because you can also get a bigger outcome from it based on how much you put into it. So you can really, it's very, I don't know if I'd say flexible, but it's very, like, you can take your own liberty to do your own things with your resumes or your cover letters, or you can, find your own work term through LinkedIn or Indeed or something like that. So the sky's kind of your limit when it comes to that, as long as you can do it within the 4-month period.
And I guess, Cheryl, maybe you can comment on the number of work terms required for the program and the benefits of actually doing that many work terms, because students may be looking at other programs across the country and the way that they're laid out. And I know Memorial does have, that opportunity to do 6 work terms throughout the course of the program.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I just wanted to touch on was exactly what you said is that the work term can be daunting, but you are going on a work term, what we call the work term competition, for the entire semester before you go out on work term, before the semester before the work term. So like if you want to go on a spring work term, then you're going in a work term competition during the winter. So you do have lots of time to find that work term, to secure that work term. And we get students who have contacts within the field and find their own work terms all the time. We get students who just decide that they want to work with a certain company and do cold calls and end up getting work terms with those companies. We had a student who wanted to work with Fisher-Price Toys, and she basically called up Fisher-Price Toys and kept calling them till she got the right person, and she ended up with a work term at Fisher-Price Toys. So, I mean, it really depends on what you want. The work terms are offered in Newfoundland, through Canada, into the United States, internationally. So it really depends on what kind of work term experience you want. But you have to have a minimum of 4 work terms to graduate. So that is 4 full semesters. So a work term would be at least 12 weeks. And so you have at least 4 work terms on your resume when you graduate, but you, like I said, can have the opportunity to have up to 6, even beyond, even if you take a pass on the engineering 1 optional work term, beyond term 3, there are 5 opportunities for work term. And like I said, you need 4 to graduate. And so students will take those opportunities to kind of figure out what they want. We have lots of students who will take work terms on campus with us in tutoring positions or running our summer camp program. So like we got those work terms are what we call service learning work terms. So maybe not so engineering heavy, but you're still learning skills that you would need to go out into the workplace. So, but the thing with those work terms is that when you graduate, you would be what we call an in training engineer. And so typically students do 3 years of in training work before they can actually write their licensing exam, their provincial licensing exam, and get their professional engineering designation. And so because we are a mandatory co-op program and our work terms are all monitored, you can also use those work terms towards your in training time. So for students who graduate from our program only have to do 2 years of in training time versus 3 before they can actually write their professional exams and get the professional designation. So that's a nice little bonus on top of getting paid for that time where you worked, learning more about your major because you're in a work term, and having that work experience on your resume when you graduate, and being prepared to go right from a degree into the workplace, and not, having had that experience already. So you're not green. It's not your first job out of university because it's probably your 4th or 5th or 6th one.
No, that's a really good point to make too about the professional designation and the time, necessary in order to get that designation. I'm going to return to the students now because I feel like we've been talking a lot about the challenges that students face, but you both seem to be really enjoying your engineering program. Tell us something, and Kathleen, maybe I'll start with you, that you find is really enjoyable about the program. Like, how would you encourage these future students to look at Memorial or maybe look at your particular major, something you're really enjoying about your program right now?
There's a lot. I'll try and list as many as I can really quickly. So I really like the class sizes, so you can become really close with everybody in your class, and you can get to know your professors, and you can get to know everybody in the co-op office or the liaison office and the dean, and that's a really great opportunity that doing engineering specifically at MUN has. The co-op program, I think, is the best in Canada, to be completely honest. And one thing we haven't even touched on that is great about the co-op program is that you are only, after engineering 1, you are only ever in school for 4 months at a time. So it prevents you from getting burnt out. So you're working really hard for 16 weeks, and then you get 16 weeks of, you're getting paid, and you get a little bit of a break from doing so much schooling. You're flipping and flopping back and forth between those 2 things for your entire degree, and it's fabulous. I absolutely love it. And then, I just think the co-op program is great. I've traveled. I went to California for my last one, and that was a lot of fun. And I'm going back to California now in January for my next work term, which is great. And there's engineering is such a social degree as well. There's so many events going on all the time. There's rarely a weekend where there isn't something going on. So it's definitely a work hard, play hard kind of degree as well. So I could probably go on and on about all the great things about it. But I'll stop it there.
Awesome. Thanks. And Hanor, what about you? I mean, you're on your work term right now, but what do you enjoy about being on campus, or enjoy about the particular major within the program that you've chosen?
Um, I do enjoy like studying here. Like especially like coming from a different country, I thought like it was like it was like all of this was foreign to me, and like adjusting to a new like learning environment with different expectations and stuff. But it has been like pretty good so far for me personally. Like the labs are pretty great, and we do, although the labs are longer and many students will complain about it, but you actually learn like those practical skills in those labs, like building circuits, doing any simulations and stuff like that. So the quality of education for me has been like pretty good, and has been like more than what I expected. And it's also like same as Kathleen, like work terms, like getting experience in the job from learning from other engineers has been pretty like a useful experience for me.
Excellent. There is someone that has put a question in the chat. It's a very specific question, but I think I can generalize it a little bit. And I would encourage the person that put that question in, Colton, if you can email admissions@mun.ca. I'll ensure that Cheryl gets this question because I think it's something she could help with. But in a nutshell, if a student doesn't meet the requirements, they're currently in high school, they don't meet the specific requirements, how do they go about moving into the engineering program?
So that would be students who, like I said, who weren't accepted directly, and so then they come to the university and take um, courses from the Engineering One program or their prerequisites, and then apply to engineering at a later time. So, I mean, one of the things probably I should mention really quickly, I guess, is while we're looking for advanced math, we will take students out of the academic math program as well. They just have to have very high marks in academic math, and it also changes their program slightly. So they might they be committing really to more time in Engineering One than just those 2 semesters that most students are getting through on. But yeah, it's a great opportunity for you to come to the university, take some math, take some chemistry, take some physics, pick up an elective course, and show us that you can succeed in those courses and apply to engineering at a later date. So we, like I said, are looking for 70% overall at the university, as well as 70% or better in 2 or more of our Engineering One courses or their prerequisites. And so, yeah.
That's great. I think that's going to be very helpful for this person because as I read through the question a second time, it is looking at a combination of both missing possibly a couple of requirements, but also they had the opportunity to do the TCP, the technical career pathway in their program. So they have some coding and certainly the advanced math well covered coming in. So I think that well covers a little bit of the answer to their question, but I've encouraged him to also reach out, and I'll make sure he gets in contact for more detailed questions. Thank you to the 3 of you for joining us this evening. It's so great to hear some in-depth information, but get a good overview of the student experience as well within the engineering program. For those that are joining us this evening, there are another whole evening of sessions going on tomorrow evening. We'll start again with a great current student panel from the majors or the academic programs that are going to be presenting tomorrow evening. We're going to have sessions from our Faculty of Education, Humanities and Social Sciences, our pharmacy program, nursing program, and social work. And for those that are still maybe on the fence about deciding or not quite decided and still exploring their options, we're going to have a session with representatives from our career development office as well as our academic advising center, and they're going to present on how to make those decisions about your academic program, what kind of supports and services we have here on campus to help support them through that decision making. So thank you again to our panelists. Cheryl, it's always lovely to have you on a panel. The knowledge that you bring to these situations is really wonderful. And Hanor, good luck on your work term this semester. It seems like you're really enjoying it. And Kathleen, thank you for both our panel earlier this evening as well as joining us for our engineering session right now. Thanks very much. Have a nice evening, everyone, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
everyone.
Jennifer.
Good night.
Good night.